Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Don't Tell Me How to Fan. My name is Josh Albrecht, and with me, as always, is my good pal, John Taylor. John, the Brewers are turning up the heat.
That's right.
Man, so much Brewers to talk about. First and foremost, after the last episode, I think they had 5 games left before the All-Star break, and it was, all right, they just got to finish strong going into the break. You don't want to go into the break with just everything falling apart after this high that they were on. And they didn't. They won them all.
They sure
winning.
Yeah, they sure didn't. When did we record last? Was it last Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they won 6 games.
6 games.
They're on a 7-game winning streak. Starting from last Sunday when we talked after the Marlins winning that series, which, you and I both had felt pretty disappointed. Maybe it's not the right word, but that's definitely felt like a team we should have swept. Same with the Rockies when we couldn't sweep them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got these games back against the Dodgers.
A team that everyone thought would.
Yeah.
Who we sent. What are they? They went into the break on a 7-game losing streak.
Yeah, they were slumping pretty bad. Right before the All-Star break, they ended up winning. They went on a 6-game losing streak themselves, maybe 7. They ended up taking 2 of 3 against the Giants to try to get out of the slump. But man, we caught them at the right time, but their lineup is very scary. With the injuries, their worst hitter is still great.
Would be doing great in a Brewer uniform.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, their worst player would really probably raise our batting average by several points. So, there's that hilarious stat I'm sure you saw, and I would love to. I'll say the stat, and then I just kind of want to hear you talk about what the city of Milwaukee felt like during that series, and then when they finally swept them. And we can maybe I'll recap. I'll do a little bit of talking, and then that's going to be teed up for you when I'm done.
Sure.
Yeah, there's that fun anecdote that the Dodgers payroll that's injured right now is way bigger than even just the Brewers payroll in general. So anytime David beats Goliath in that situation is always going to be a good time. But the point I wanted to make was just, we swept the Dodgers in pretty fantastical fashion. I would say so. They get, I forget who the pitcher was for them on Monday. Mostly because I just don't want to say his name wrong. So let me look it up.
Because I don't want to say his name wrong either.
Yeah, I know it's important that we don't say.
Also, I'm pretty sure if I looked at his name, I'd still say it wrong. So
it's Yamamoto. It's Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
That one. That first part. Yeah.
But I mean, he didn't get out of the first inning. The Brewers pieced him up so bad, rocked him real good. And so that game was kind of on autopilot. We won 9-1, easy peasy, easy game. Some people are calling. So that was fantastic. And then obviously game 2 was the game everybody was talking about. That was the game. Clayton Kershaw went head to head against Jacob Misiorowski.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, he gave up a home run to Shohei and then proceeded to throw 12 strikeouts in his 6 innings pitched. Not bad at all. And then the third game, right? That was one. It was back and forth, one in extra innings. Jackson, who hit? Was that Churrios? That was Churrios' first ever walk-off. Hit, and so it was incredible. An incredible 3-game series. There's more to talk about, but I just wanted to set the picture for what the city of Milwaukee and the state of Wisconsin was feeling during that 3-game series.
Oh, everyone was amped, man. I mean, Brewers fans were amped up. You started, it could have just been that maybe I had the Brewers sweeping the Dodgers goggles on, but I started seeing more guys, out and about at the grocery store wearing Brewers shirts. And you kind of just saw that people were feeling it. They were really, because it was a big deal. It was the games weren't, you can say whatever you want about the Dodgers and that they were slumping or, whatever it was, but it was still the Dodgers. They were still here and they were exciting games that the Brewers needed to, I mean, besides the first one, obviously that was just fun, but besides that, it was games they had to play good ball. They had to fight, they had to come back. And then I think that just really set the stage for then when the Nationals came, and then those games ended up being a little bit more difficult, right? Those were games that were more likely that the Brewers were going to lose, and then they fought back.
Yeah.
And there was late inning heroics and everything that you wanted to see from your baseball team. And one thing that I really love about Brewers fans is that we care so much more about the team winning than anything else. It doesn't matter giveaways, all-star voting, talking about the all-star game. People were just like jacked to see the team inch closer to closing that gap with the Cubs and just continue to win. We're passionate about seeing the team succeed. And when they're doing that, people have a really good time.
Yeah.
And that's what was happening around the city.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can pick some more incredible moments throughout the series if we want. I think we have to probably start with Andrew Vaughn, your newest Milwaukee Brewer.
Oh my God.
His first at bat is against the Dodgers, and he hits a 3-run homer in his first at bat. Kurt Hogue, who is a beat reporter for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, I like this stat. He said, Aaron Savali has given up 18 runs in 5 games with the White Sox. Andrew Vaughn has driven in 10 runs in 5 games with the Brewers. So you want to talk about who won that trade?
Right.
It's pretty obvious because the Brewers pitching rotation, the starting pitching rotation, is getting only more and more crowded. So, but I can't imagine, you're the throwaway piece in a trade. And he was the 2nd overall pick in the year he was drafted. Like, the guy has tools, you know what I mean? He's flashed before. I can't necessarily fault someone who isn't maybe feeling motivated to get out of a slump when you play for the Chicago White Sox. And that's me putting it politely.
Yeah.
I think getting in, it's not like the Brewers are this elite pitching, or they are an elite pitching lab. A hitting lab is what I was going to say. But Rhys Hoskins gets hurt. It sounds like he's not going to be back till mid-August. I forget what the injury is.
I don't remember either.
I can look it up.
It's just funny. That would be something I totally remember and be focused on if you didn't bring in Vaughn, who just then was lights out. Like, it was incredible. He was everything you could have wanted and more.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you're in the minors. You're probably just feeling like, well, at least I'm out of the White Sox. And I looked it up real quick. It was a left thumb injury, a grade 2. So he'll be out until, August. Yeah. And you get a golden opportunity to show a new team, a new town, and just kind of you see this in sports all the time. And do I think Andrew Vaughn has unlocked the keys to the kingdom and he's going to just be hitting like this all the time? No. I've been fooled way too many times by Brewers prospects who are exciting. But what I will say is it's in there, and you have all of sports are just taking advantage of the opportunities that you're given. And he's definitely doing it right now. And you hear it all the time too. It's like, it's an old saying, or it's hack to say like, oh, a fresh start can do someone really well, but it's change of scenery 100%. Whatever was happening when the White Sox was not working for him, that was very obvious. But yeah, White Sox. But yeah, besides just being the White Sox, but yeah, he was absolutely incredible. The last 3 games, I guess he had heroics with the Nationals too. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I do this every week. I feel like I remember the weekday games because I'm not running around all over town. But I'm not gonna lie, I had a little bit of like fatigue isn't the right word, but there was a bit of a come down. You sweep the Dodgers, and then you just go, okay. As a Brewers fan, I'm sure you felt this way. I was like, somehow we're gonna like get swept and completely balance out this homestand. It's like you just kind of assume that's going to be the case.
And it almost was. That's the thing. The Nationals put up more of a fight.
Oh yeah,
against the Brewers than the Dodgers did, and so you kind of expected that. And it's happened before. I won't forget a couple years ago when the Brewers lost like 5 games to the Pirates. Like, I don't know, it was like a 2 series back to back against them, 1 home, 1 away, and they lost all 5 going into the All-Star break, and they were in first. Like, they were doing well, and they just crapped the bed. And so, that's always in the back of your mind. But this Brewers team, man, just everything you want to see, they were doing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they jumped out. I should say the series wasn't as close. There was one game in particular where there was some late stage heroics. The Friday game they won 8-3. They jumped out to a 6-1 lead, and they kind of just were in cruise control all the way through. Quentin Priester ended up pitching the final 6. They did the DL Hall Quentin Priester split.
Yeah,
and they did that. They brought in Quentin in the third, and he kind of shut it down from there, which was great. And then the Saturday game was the one that was really exciting. The one I thought they were down. What was it? It was 5-3, and they gave up 3 runs. They were up
in the bottom of the 9th. 0 outs.
Yeah, it was 3-1, and then in the 8th they made it 3-3, and then they gave up, and it was 5-3. And then just good pieces of hitting. Vaughn got on base. There's our guy again, drives in a run, and then Caleb Durbin hit an RBI single to end the rally and get us the win. So I don't know.
I got to say, in that last game against the Nationals too, though, it was like they blew it wide open in like the bottom of the 8th.
Yeah.
It was like tied, or they were down a run, something. It was still close, very close going into the end. And then like it was just the Brewers they blew it wide open. They got 7 runs in the last 2 innings.
It was 3-0. It was 3-0 all the way until the 7th. They gave 1. And I know it felt like the way the pitching was going, the way the hitting going, it screamed to me when I was watching it. I was like, oh, they're just ready for the All-Star break. They already won this series. It was like a classic Sunday lineup where you're looking at it going like, why is this the order? Why are these the guys playing? Like, are we trying to get these games back? I think at that point, the Cubs had already won their game. They started earlier than us, so we kind of knew. And I don't think Murph is doing standings watch or rating or ranking, or he's not doing that either way. But yeah, I mean, Churio hit a huge bomb to make it a 3-run homer to make it 6-1. Terang, just good pieces of hitting all the way up and down, and then it wasn't anywhere close. So I mean, that's the kind of games you want to see, right? I think like this week for me is like exemplifies what the ideal Brewers baseball experience needs to be if they are in fact going to make it to the playoffs. I mean, they firmly have the wild card right now. We were talking at the beginning of the season going, this team will not make the playoffs if they don't win the NL Central. And now they're in lone possession of that first wild card spot, which
I gotta say too, because I was thinking about this the other day. Baseball, more than any other sport, is so easy to react with the most amount of time to get over that reaction. Yep. Like we way too early. Like I remember it was like the end of May, and it was like, oh well, they got to figure out. John, they got to figure something out. Like this team's in trouble. Not even thinking like there's 100 games left. Like we needed to, but that's how it felt. And now here we are, middle of July, completely different perspective of this team, which is a good thing, right? There's positives that come along with that. It was good to see them turn it around. Also, you got to stick with it because there's also, 2 months of baseball, 2.5 months of baseball left.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, and this is the conversation that you have to have in baseball, is just that a good team is going to win most of their series, right? So when you see a team like the Cubs kind of stack as much wins in the beginning of the season as they did, especially for what was considered their tougher part of the schedule. When we were at the end of May having a conversation, we were down 8 games, and we were about to set into a Cubs series where we go, how many of these do we lose before we start thinking, hey, maybe this isn't the year for us, right? And, I remember saying to you, like, maybe it was the Cardinals. There was some like by the end of this week, we might be sellers if we don't get to like below 6.5. Now we're exactly 1 game behind. If the Cubs wouldn't have been cowards and denied us that doubleheader because they didn't want to face Freddie and Jacob Misiorowski,
right? We
could be sitting half a game. We could be tied with them right now at the All-Star break. But truly incredible. And to your point too, this is why baseball is so hilarious. Everybody, and I would say justifiably so, were concerned about how the Brewers were performing and if these specific players could do what they needed to do to keep us competitive. And at the All-Star break, the Brewers are sitting at 56-40, which is the best record they've ever had going into an All-Star break. You know what I mean?
So it's just insane?
I mean, but
doesn't feel like it.
they had the second most wins starting in late May. So right around that time, we were all Memorial Day getting worried. I mean, they just flipped the switch, and it seems sustainable. It seems like our guys are finding ways to get on base. They're hitting. There's something we haven't really discussed was on Sunday early. Sal Frelick. Yeah. Why am I saying his name weird?
Frelick.
Yeah, why does that sound so weird to me right now?
Not a Sal.
Sal, dove for an out. He made it. He slid for one. Is reporting as like a grade one hip hammy. Hurt his hip. Looked like it could have been his hammy, and it was. TBD if he plays against the Dodgers this weekend. I mean, for me, I'm like, let him rest, but he's been a demon leading off, man. It is crazy. Yeah. And obviously production in the back half, Bryce batting 7th, Vaughn batting 8th, Durbin batting 9th. Like, these guys are finding timely hits. They're taking advantage of it. Our guys who can hit for power are actually hitting for power, and that's what makes the Vaughn signing so exciting, is the guy has a big bat. So it's like, just if he can tap into that power, like the Brewers are so starved for sluggers that it's like a guy who can hit a home run once every 9 appearances. That is the difference of winning and losing a series with a team that produces offensively as little as they have in aggregate. Right now, they look like juggernauts, but that's just not this team. We know that, right? But they're getting on base, and then their power bats are bringing them in. So it's it's not like we're playing this like 2015 Kansas City Royals, like just swipe them all over the bags and like no one's going to hit for power. Like, we have guys, they just need to be there doing their thing. So
it's all clicking right now. Hopefully they come out of the break and they don't lose that. Like, you went into the break hot, stay that way, come out hot,
right? They're coming right back against the Dodgers.
Right. Do not let that be a turning point. And it's just everything is going exactly how you want. The city's feeling it, the team's feeling it. Just keep it going. I wanted to also talk about the All-Star game.
Yeah, 2 bits of news over this course of the week too. We had went into the last recording just going, it's Peralta, and it should be. Freddie absolutely deserved it. He's tied for, after that game against the National, he's tied for the most amount of wins in the entire league, and he's like tied. He is the sole owner of the most wins in the NL right now. I mean, Freddie looks incredible. I think I've said this before. And before we continue on, I just want to say he didn't end up pitching. He absolutely deserved the All-Star nod. He is an ace. I don't know what more he has to do to prove that, but
also it's worth pointing out, like, he was the Brewers representative, the original Brewers representative. It was not like he was voted as like a starter or like something else. He was like every team needs to be represented. So
he should have been in the All-Star game, period. That's my point, but I get it. Yeah.
Now the reason why he wasn't physically there was because the Brewers pitched him and they were like, we need somebody else.
Well, speaking of pitching and players not being available, the bit of news was his replacement was none other than Trevor McGill, who was named, I think, on that Wednesday. That Wednesday game against the Dodgers. He comes out that he's actually going to be the one replacing Freddie. I think also well earned. He's like, isn't he leading the National League in saves? Or if not, he's like super up there. Yeah.
I definitely did think this was funny though, because I remembered from past episodes as I saw this, like, remembered you bringing up like that McGill's doing fine, but you didn't know like if he was still going to be the guy, if he was going to be the closer, or if they, gave it to Uribe and like swap that and saw like how that was going. And to just see how much things have changed from when you and I first had that conversation to now Trevor McGill being an all-star. It's just, it's nuts. I agree with you. Well deserved. And he did well in his inning.
I mean, he's tied. He's second in the NL for saves. He's got 21. Robert Suarez from the Padres has 28, but he's got under a 3.0 ERA. I mean, I know we don't necessarily, sometimes it feels like it's close, but at the end of the day, like, some of our concern was waiting for the other shoe to drop. I feel like that's like, as Brewers fans, we're conditioned to just be like, well, we can't wait for this to be over. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, McGill puts himself in tough positions sometimes, and every closer gives up games, and I don't know if it's because he gave up one and then another one felt uncomfortable. That's what it feels like to me, especially when I re-look at it. But I mean, 21 saves on the season in 33 innings pitched. Like, the man's putting in work when he's on there. And also his stuff is just nasty, and this is a really beautiful segue into the other Brewer that got named into the All-Star game.
And that's the big one we're going to talk about.
Yeah, that's going to be the rest of this episode for sure. All about it. But Trevor McGill is a dominant closer, and he's got filthy stuff too. And so it's like, why not showcase him? I think in terms of replacements, it made a lot of sense. So it is what it is,
And so then after that was decided, which once I saw it, I went, okay, they decided they needed to play Freddie, and the Brewers still needed to be represented. So they found a different Brewer to go instead of Freddie. Fine. It's McGill. We move on. Then it's announced that The Miz is an all-star. And boy, oh boy, did this get people talking.
Yeah.
I will tell you that here, and my personal opinion, I was like, oh, okay. And that was it. I wasn't super excited because I don't think necessarily I agree with a lot of people on the earning it side of it, right?
Yeah.
He hasn't pitched enough.
No, 5 innings pitched. It is officially the shortest amount of starts for any player to get named to an all-star nod. And so he got called up in June. We were having conversations, and the same time we were like, the Brewers suck.
Right.
He wasn't even on the team.
Right. Yeah. And now he's an all-star. So I completely understand, and I think the arguments against him being an all-star are valid. That being said, I think it's very important that all these people that feel that way remember what the all-star game is. Okay? First of all, it's not like he was a starter. It was not a fan voted in person. This was, all right, we're going to fill a spot on the roster with someone, put the person who is making the most headlines, and that is this kid in Milwaukee. And so if it wasn't an exhibition game that's just supposed to show, the hottest and, up and coming people, then I completely understand. But that's what it is. That's what the All-Star game is. And so I don't know necessarily that, on his resume, when you're looking at Hall of Fame ballots down the road, that, well, he was an all-star in, 2025. I'm not looking at that. But the fact that he was there, I feel like everyone needs to realize why the MLB did it.
Yeah.
They did it because of his stuff, and they just wanted to show it off.
Yeah. It is so hard for the MLB to showcase young talent because it gets stashed and buried away, and kids are getting drafted in high school. You know what I mean? And so it's like you hear about these guys for years before you see them. And Misiorowski's not really any different. But so when somebody who is throwing generational filth, it is like, we saw Paul Skeens last year, and I think he deserved that all-star. He played enough games. I think that's not really up for debate. But Misiorowski's stuff makes Skeens look like another pitcher, another elite pitcher, don't get me wrong, but it feels different when you watch him. And, I think something that's getting really overlooked is his hat is hanging in Cooperstown for throwing 11 scoreless innings. No pitcher has ever done that in the modern baseball era. It's not like this guy didn't just earn accolades.
Career.
Yeah. He's not just, they didn't just randomly throw a dartboard and go, man, I guess we're going to have Jacob Misiorowski pitch. He went toe to toe to Skeens on a sellout game in the middle of a Wednesday. The MLB network picked it up so more people could see it. He went head to head against.
You don't think the MLB realized that? You don't think the MLB saw the outcome of that game, the ratings of that game, how it packed a stadium in Milwaukee for a weekday game? They saw all of that before they made that decision. Come on,
against the freaking what's the word I'm looking for? Against the Pirates, another small market team. It's not like it was like the Dodgers coming through and
right.
I'm forgetting his 4 wins, very impressive. You know what I mean? I'm trying to remember who everyone he pitched off of, but it doesn't matter. It's an old list at this point
did you see his inning that he pitched?
I did. You know, it wasn't
Did you see the reaction from both benches to his 98-mile-per-hour slider?
Yes. I watched that. No joke. I watched it last night on Twitter. I was like re-scrolling and it came through. I was just reliving and loving all the highlights. You know, I'll say this. Was it the most? Do I wish he would have been a little more shut down so the haters could have been a little more quiet? Absolutely. I really wish, because he's dominated his starts minus the Mets game. So 80% of his games have been utterly dominant. I would say that All-Star game, and yes, it was an exhibition, so take it for what you will, on the more pedestrian side. First pitch, 101 miles an hour, and it was, in fact, a more pedestrian inning from Jacob Misiorowski. But yes,
one gave up a hit and 3 flyouts, right?
Yeah. Kind of pieced. I mean, they got out there kind of far too. I mean, he's playing against the best players in the sport.
Also, it was an exhibition, right?
Yeah,
that's where I want him to do that.
Yeah.
Save the good stuff for when the games count, But it was still, I thought that specific pitch and that clip encompasses exactly why Major League Baseball put him there, because they got to show to the world the rest of the best players in Major League Baseball laughing at how ridiculous the Miz's stuff is. So, if they can show Jacob Misiorowski that way and get that reaction from legitimate multi-time All-Stars, it justifies why they did it. I understand that you don't have to like the process, you don't have to like the decision, but you have to understand they were vindicated in why they did it with that reaction from the rest of the All-Stars. In my opinion, it was vindication.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Yeah, and the last thing we can do to touch on it is I'll just say this, the other bit of national news, and then also got a bunch of radio play. I from what I could hear, Clayton Kershaw before the Brewers series going, oh, wasn't that the guy that made his debut and rolled his ankle? Yeah, I'm not really all too familiar with him. And then what? He had to go against him, and I wish I could find the quote, and I just don't want to vamp because we're wrapping up here. But to the extent of just yeah, I know who he is now. That stuff is nasty. I don't know. I don't know what you're supposed to do against that. He was just tip my hat. That is insane, right?
Yeah.
So,
and that's from Kershaw. So
that's from Kershaw.
Right.
So,
that's saying something.
Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to do before we got out was get your opinion and talk about how the All-Star game ended.
Oh.
So the National League had a huge lead, almost blew the game, which I was like, I mean, I know it doesn't count for anything anymore, but having the Brewers be in the National League, it'd be really nice if, they could start stringing together a few, instead of getting really, beat up for the last 30 years, the American League. And they blow it, right? They blow the lead, tie game in the 9th. I'm going, oh God. I don't know that anyone knew the rule, going into it, what was going to happen. They have to put up on the screen, okay, new rule, here's what we're doing, here's what's going to happen. And they turn it into a home run contest, a home run derby contest, where there are 3 batters from each team. The managers get to pick who the 3 batters are. It is not head-to-head, even though they kind of made it seem that way. It's the total. So the best score that each side could get is 9. And so, in the first, I don't even know who it was, but the first round, the National League guy got 1 and the American League guy got 2. And I was like, okay, so did they win round 1?
I can go ahead. I can give you a little more stats. Yeah. Kyle Stowers of the Marlins hit 1 home run, and then Brent Rooker of the A's hit 2 home runs. And then in the next round, Kyle Schwarber blasted 3 home runs, and Randy Arozarena for the Mariners. Yeah, only hit 1. And then I think because of the way it worked, right, Aranda had to go next to see if he could even tie it, and then the game just ended, right?
The third batter for the National League wasn't even needed. But the point is that it wasn't okay, we're going to have our guy go against your guy, and whoever wins this, then you get a check mark. It was still total.
Yep.
And so Schwarber goes up there and knocks all 3 out. Everyone's losing their mind. Game, it's over.
Yep.
I will give you my opinion in a minute, but first I want to know your opinion on the tiebreaker and just all of it, the format, everything.
I applaud the creativity of this format. I don't know if it's my favorite. I think they'll probably make some adjustments. I wish we never got to it. It definitely felt like the NL really kind of phoned it in once they had that lead. Obviously, it was 6-0, and they just gave it away. And I don't know if that was done by Dave Roberts. Were they saying like, hey, just like go out there and have fun? Like, we're not really worried about like shutting this game down. But I applaud the creativity. I honestly, at this point, I wish they would have just went to the 10th and just done like the Ghost Runner on 3rd. I'd be like, let's just get this done and over with, at least in a way that at least somewhat mirrors the actual game of baseball that we currently play. Defaulting to this type of home run derby, it was jarring. I'll say you watch a whole game and then you're just like, so now it's just going to be another like modified home run derby. But I mean, for what it was, the theatrics of Schwarber hitting those 3 home runs, like you couldn't have asked for a more interesting one, because how much worse would it have been if the dude from the Marlins only hit 1 home run and then everybody else just kind of shit the bed because they were tired, and then that's the game, right? It's like, right. So that's, in terms of like the theatrics of it all, I think it's like that was best case scenario for this type of format. So
yeah.
How about you?
Okay. So I literally tweeted as it was happening. I said, so this is interesting, because that was the first word that came to my mind of how to describe it. I wasn't upset about it. I also didn't love it. I just was like, oh, okay. First of all, I 100% agree with you. I would have loved to have just seen a Ghost Runner, but they even said going to the 9th that there was only like one more pitcher that didn't pitch.
Yeah,
and so true. I know it's the same thing. We saw it when it was in Milwaukee, right? That was the whole thing, right? When they don't want to overextend the players, it's supposed to be exhibition, blah blah blah. So they try to find something. So I do understand from that perspective why doing what you and I both would want can't necessarily happen.
Yep.
I just don't. It just felt weird having the game completely change. Like it wasn't the game. It wasn't a game anymore. No. Like when you go to that, it's not a game. So here's what I would like. Okay. If I change things, I would like you have your lineup 1 through 9 versus 1 through 9, 1 at bat, one hit. You don't get 3 swings. Everyone gets 1. So the max you still get is 9, right? That's still the top score you can get. But then it's not going, all right, well, I'm going to go with this guy, and this guy. And then it's literally you're still giving, and then you have more head-to-head, and then maybe you don't even need them all, right? Because if it's 6-2 and there's 3 players left, okay, well then even if those 3 hit home runs, they'll lose 6-5. So that was my only thing, was like, at least then I'm seeing the entire lineup 1 through 9 instead of it being the 3 people. But it's fine because it's for an exhibition game. I saw a lot of people on Twitter that were like, this is amazing. This is fantastic. I can't believe Major League Baseball actually found a good way to do something. There were people saying, look for this to be in actual, how they end actual games in years to come. I was like, everyone needs to calm down.
Yeah. Well, there is part of
None
it
of that's happening.
If this is how they wanted to do it, then why not just have the winner of the home run derby be the tiebreaker? You know what I mean? Like, get the people that are in the home run derby taking it more seriously.
Sure, but then it would have been predetermined.
You just would know who has the tiebreaker. So don't find yourself in a tiebreaker situation.
Sure.
It's just an exhibition game. If you're worried about the pitchers, I mean, that's what you're worried about. You go in the game going, oh, big dumper. Big dumper won it for the AL. Better not blow this 6-0 lead if we really want to get out of here,
Yeah.
But I get it. It just goes to show you that the All-Star game is really just the home run derby and then everything else. in the same way.
Mhm.
Well, before the basketball game used to be the dunk contest. People want
Right.
to see the cool thing, and like I think their instincts are correct for doing it this way. But you're right. I do wish there was less gamesmanship about the tiebreaker specifically. And so maybe if it's a matter of just designating who your tie-breaking hitters 1 through 9. I mean, going 1 through 9 through a lineup is going to add a lot of extra time, and I don't know if a national broadcast really wants to deal with that much up and down. But I do get your point.
Yeah, I thought about it and I was like, I really don't know how much more time. Like, if it's, like, all right, you're putting a guy up there, he's done. Next guy's like steps into what, maybe like 15 to 20 seconds more per guy. It's not like you don't got to worry about running or anything.
Yeah.
Hell, the ball doesn't even have to be on the ground yet before the next guy could be in the box. There are ways around it. I'm just like, if you're going to highlight a home run derby-esque, then because it could, if that's legitimately it, that can change who you're choosing to be all-stars. You're going to start thinking about that. If you make 1 through 9 go, then you still have you still have the team. You just have the team. So that was my one thought. I get it. There's no perfect answer. It was fine.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it. I just didn't love it as much as everyone else did.
You know what I don't hate and I do love? Your Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, they're incredible right now. And please get better, Sal, and everyone come back well rested and keep it going, please.
Yeah. And if I had more budget, this is where I would flash my Pokemon in the inside of my suit jacket.
Yeah, that's fair. I did see that. Also, I want to say, did you see Freddie hold up the sign for
Bob? Yeah,
that said Bob Uecker.
Yep. Oh. Class act as always.
Emotional. Yeah. Oh my god, that got me. That was very cool.
Yeah,
as well. So a lot of good things, good representation from the crew at the All-Star game. You always love to see that. I hope that they continue in their winning ways. And when we're talking next week, we have more good things to talk about. That's what we're hoping for. And I hope you are there as well. Thank you so much for joining us. And make sure to tune in next time because we are not done yet.